To put it bluntly.
Accessibility podcast called To Put It Bluntly.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a special episode of To Put It Bluntly. We will probably call this Develop 25 special. I don't know. We don't actually. We wing these things, as you know. We are here today. I am, as ever, joined by my wonderful hostess with the mostess, Cameron Keywood. Cameron, how are we?
Yeah, not too bad. It feels just like a couple of days ago we were recording.
I know, right? I haven't had an episode for a month, and we're doing back to backs. What is going on? As those of you who are watching on YouTube will see, normally we have one guest, but this week we are absolutely pleasured to be joined by two of our friends. One that we all met recently at Develop itself, and there is one in the chat, Craig, who I have now known, oh my god, quite a few years, Craig. So
6 years?
Yeah, so we are
If I was to guess.
Yeah, we are joined by Craig and Stephen. They're going to talk to us about their develop, how they met, and just, as ever, it's going to be conversational madness because we don't stick to a plan. We go off on tangents and it'll be a good laugh. So let's start off with, we'll go with Stephen. Stephen, who the hell are you?
Who am I? That's the question. How long have you got? I'm Stephen. I've been in the games industry for 20-something years, 22 years. Should know, right? Shouldn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah, 21 and a half. That's it.
Don't forget the half.
I stuck around a particular company for 20 years, and now I'm pinging around because I got made redundant there. Decided to take redundancy from there. Ended up at another place. Now being made redundant from them, and I'm probably going to ping back to the first place and do some contract work. So that's all good. I'm a designer, and I was just scrolling through LinkedIn one day, and a friend of mine who now lives in Barcelona, he was like, "Oh, there's this Blind Burners charity that's sending people to develop," and of course I live in Brighton. I'd forgotten all about the Develop conference. Like, oh yeah, that. Oh, I'm sort of free that week. That would work out really nicely. So I wrote to Chris, who's the head of the Blind Burners group. We had a call very quickly, and sort of snowballed from there. And I got put in touch with Craig, and we had an absolute riot.
Yeah, so before we introduce Craig, I'm going to just let everyone know that there'll be a link to what the Blind Burners do and Chris's LinkedIn profile in the dump. So Blind Burners is a community interest group that originated from Burning Man. Chris himself got involved with his friend Addy doing it. Addy's blind and a musician. They both attended Burning Man, and then during lockdown they couldn't attend Burning Man. So Burning Man went virtual, and then they discovered that the virtual world is not accessible to blind people. And they were doing a lot in the VR space at the time and things like that. And it's kind of blossomed from an interest group that looked specifically at VR to an interest group that now looks at accessibility in video games in general and getting visually impaired and blind people into the games industry. And one of the big things they do is they get blind and visually impaired people to events. So, for example, for the last 3 years, me and Craig have been to Develop with Blind Burners, and what Chris from Blind Burners does is he takes visually impaired people or blind people and partners them up with someone that's currently in the industry or studying to go into the industry, and for a week they are kind of a pair, and as you will find out shortly, they develop a relationship and just spend a week together at Develop, and we will talk more about that. And now I will let Craig introduce himself. So over to you, Craig.
Hello, my name is Craig Bratt. I am a software engineer in the fintech industry at the minute. Not quite as exciting, but I would love to be a software developer in the gaming industry is what I'd really like to do. I'd really love to be part of making these great games. I've been visually impaired all my life. I've been a gamer what feels like all my life, and partnering them up with my sort of desire to make cool things, which is what I love doing on my day-to-day, would be great, which is some of the reason that attending Develop in Brighton with Blind Burners has always appealed to me. And I've been along as was said for the past few years now, and each time I feel like I've come away with like new perspectives, and yeah, I feel like I'm learning more and more year on year, and One day I'm going to get in there. That's the hope. But at the very least, I've made some really good friends over the time. So, yeah, it it's a really good opportunity. Would recommend it to other visually impaired people who are really keen on getting that exposure to the gaming industry.
So, let's like blind date this. What was your first
Ooh.
encounter like? Because was it? I don't know because
And with dinner, maybe a couple of chocolates,
Well, I would say,
wine.
Oh, it
I'd
was
say love at
wonderful
first sight.
romantic. Yeah, yeah. Well, I remember rolling up onto Brighton Station, and I'd never met Craig, and I had a sort of vague sense of what he looked like. But I think I was there with you guys,
Yeah.
and you were supposed to like
Yeah.
point him out, and you were too busy like yakking with each other, and then this train guard turns up with this guy who's like, "I'm pretty sure that's Craig," but no one else seems to be paying any attention. So I kind of stepped forward and introduced, and yeah, just it's a new world for me to kind of like be a guide for visually impaired person, and Craig is just like, right, just gonna grab your arm, we're gonna walk out together. I was like, oh hello, yeah, this is, and just thrown into the deep end with each other, and it's it's it. You kind of just immediately vital parts of each other's lives, and just sharing everything off the bat, really.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember the first develop, and Paul kind of stayed at the train station on the last day. So Paul has done guiding now for 3 years to develop, and he turned around and he went, "You know what? I've learnt more in this space of 3 days than I ever have done at previous event." And he was like, "It was nothing to do with the games industry, but I've learnt how to kind of guide visually impaired people, keep them alive for 3 days, and it's been great."
I think Paul, bless him, had a baptism of fire because I think he was my guide that year.
Yeah,
as
he
well,
was.
so-
Yeah.
Bless him. Yeah, he's a really good guide as well. Great guy. But yeah, no, I really liked, Steve, that you actually took the initiative as well. So for any avoidance of doubt, Steve took the initiative in that relationship and just came up to him and you pretty much said, "Are you Craig?" And I was like, "Yeah, I am." And then I'd say within 2 minutes, you'd pretty much got the basics of it. And we were often going. We just randomly went to a tea shop because I had a little errand to run. But yeah. And hopefully I helped you find a random tea blend that you didn't know existed. So,
Well, we tried quite a few, didn't we?
Well, we did actually. Yes, I remember. Just stood there for about 15 minutes trying all these different teas and just coming away with a load of them. So yeah, you guiding visually impaired people, you just get random experiences just happen. I find this even when I'm guiding other visually impaired people, because that's the thing that happens. You do just end up on adventures you didn't fully anticipate, but they're go for them.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, it's the start of a bonkers week.
Yeah, very much.
So, you said this is like your first dip in your your first experience with visually impaired people, Stephen.
My first rodeo.
Yeah, your first rodeo. What kind of made you go, "I'm going to like volunteer and do this"? Because it's quite develops a full-on event for people in the games industry. So to kind of go, right, I'm going to sacrifice, like, not sacrifice, that's the wrong term of phrase, but kind of go, right, I'm going to volunteer my time at Develop and help someone else, rather than, like, a lot of the time people will be like, right, I've got meetings here, meetings there, running around, but actually you've gone, no, it's quite a selfless thing to do in some respects, to kind of go, right, I'm going to put my kind of Develop alongside someone else's and mishmash it and make it, like you've said, it's a chaotic week when you do that, because instead of running 2 diaries, you're running 1 diary. There's 2 of you to plan for and to get around, and things you want to do and things you want to see, and it's no mean feat, but to kind of, what made you kind of go, "Do you know what, I'm going to do this year and have a totally different experience at Develop to one that I normally would do"?
Well, it's only my second Develop, and like I said before, like I sort of forgot to exist, even though I only live like 2 miles away. I'm quite blessed in that regard that I don't have to travel the length of the country to attend. And I was like, oh yeah, there's Developers on, and my partner was away that week, and I didn't have like a full schedule of like, oh, all these meetings I've got to cancel just to be able to do this sort of thing, and I thought it would be a wonderful experience. Didn't realize quite, it was really wonderful. It surpassed my expectations in that regard, and I sat and I head scratched and I chin scratched and I bum scratched and I scratched everything else, and I just thought, I bet it would be great. I bet I would regret it if I didn't do it, and I bet wouldn't regret it if I did. Yeah. So
Yeah.
and I was proven completely correct in that, and it was really wonderful.
No, it's weird because I describe especially our group of visually impaired people with certain members, like we all know each other a couple of years now, if not longer, like me and Craig. And I always say to Chris from Blind Burners, like, it's just like a dysfunctional family. Because it is, when we get together, it's normally chaos or carnage, and everyone's
Absolutely.
flying around. Was it a bit overwhelming? Was it kind of like for the first day, you're like, oh my god, what have I agreed to do?
Not really, because everyone was really lovely, and
The kicker.
it was complete carnage, and I mean, for example, like the first day, you meeting Craig and then everyone else at the train station or near the train station. He's like, oh, I need to go to a tea shop. I was like, I've literally just come from that same tea shop. So where I'd explained to the lady, oh, I've got to meet all these partially sighted people, and she's like, bring them in for tea. And I was like, well, I'm not going to bring them in for tea because they have things to do. And then I turn up like 20 minutes later with Craig, and then we sat and we tried loads of teas. Then we sort of daggered across town, just pointing stuff out. We got to the Airbnb, which was down on the seafront, and other people started to come in dribs and drabs, and you're meeting people, you're furiously glad handling, you're exploring this weird and wacky Airbnb that had like 6 floors or whatever it was. It was an ancient building. It's like from the 1700s, and then sitting down and starting to talk to Craig and other people, and I met one of the other guys, was a lovely lady called Talia, and we realised after like 20 minutes that we had a load of people that we knew in common, and I'm like, oh, do you know so and so from where she used to work? And I was like, oh yeah, it's just my best friend or something, and so we took a photo together. I sent it to this to this mutual contact who was just like, what the hell is going on? How has this happened? And that's just how the week just rolled on like that. It was just carnage, but a beautiful carnage, and it was really wonderful. I've forgotten what you asked now.
No, that's perfect. Craig,
Yeah.
out of 10, how's Stephen's got? No, I'm joking. We're not yet.
I think the brutes are mostly gone.
So
Out of 10, how was my guiding?
Yeah, Cam, you're fantastic. You know you are. You point me in the right direction and put beer in my hand. Normally, it's fine.
I see Mikey's knife, so
yeah.
He's got to keep you sweet, Cam. Just bear that in mind.
yeah, 100%.
I just want. This isn't deep, but I'm going to ask Craig. What would it develop be like without Stephen?
This year, it would have certainly been a lot flatter. It'd have been a lot less laughs. One of the best things that you actually did as well, I know you're sort of quite new to guiding, Stephen, but you actually described a lot of the things to me. And as someone who's not a Brighton native, that's actually quite useful, because it then sort of builds a picture in my sort of mind's eye, which is actually quite nice. I feel like I've got a better appreciation for the city. Paul was also really good at this as well, and I actually quite find that you get a feel for the place through that. So I wouldn't have had that. I'd have also, quite frankly, got lost and probably ended up in a pub because it's Brighton and it's full of pubs. Which,
is that a bad thing?
When you got lemons.
So you did end up in the sea once with me.
I didn't. Only once, to be fair.
Literally face down in the sea at one point, I noticed.
I was doing a handstand at one point in the sea.
You were doing a handstand in the sea. I was like, should I be involved with that? I don't know.
I wanted to try and see if I could freak the guys out, to be fair. So, and I think I did. I think Talia got slightly nervous about it, which, great.
We were barely paying attention at this point.
Yeah, no, it's fine. we didn't need it. We were all fine. It really made it, I think. Just going, like, if you think of, how would you, if I was to describe Brighton Develop, people everywhere, and making sense of it, it's almost a sea of itself, and sort of making sense of it is impossible without a guide. And even with, like, you'd need a good guide to get you to actually where you want to be and to actually have the experiences you want. Stephen actually managed to do that in a very busy environment. So you did kind of take on, okay, maybe the train station was sort of guiding on easy mode, but guiding in a packed conference like that is very much guiding on hard mode.
Yeah.
And you very much did that.
Yeah.
And not too many injuries to show, so we're all good.
Not too many, no.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Not just on the inside mainly.
I think that was just exhaustion.
I also had a really wonderful time because so for example, I went to develop the previous year. I went around the expo, and my experience of that was a lot of time you just walking around by yourself. Then you bump into someone oh hello, hey, it's going in, and you sort of chat to them for like 10 minutes or something, and then one of you needs to go off to do something else, and then you're stuck on your own again. It's like, oh, okay, I'm a little bit lonely, and then I wasn't quite so outgoing as I was this year to go to all the stalls and talk to all the people. But this year I had Craig, and he had a mission to be like, I've got to basically rob this place of as much merchandise as I can get. So it's like, right, okay, we have a thing to do. We've got to ransack all the stalls for merch. And so that just kind of like, right, okay, we got to go and talk to this person. Now we've got to talk to that person. Now, and it's this is so much more fun than just going around by yourself.
I mean, to be fair, my partner had given me that sort of quest to sort of see what merch I could grab, and Steve did an admirable job of just being like, okay, those guys have got some t-shirts over there. And I will say, a lot of them had games of chance to try and win merch. I think Steve is like 3-0 for like winning those games of chance for the good merch. I don't know how he does it. Like dice rolling, always a 6. Spinning wheels, yeah, he's got it. I only assume you've rigged it somehow.
Just a massive cheat. There was the tombola where I think if you pulled out a ticket with a 0 or a 5, you get a prize. And let me just put it this way: not being partially sighted is an advantage in a situation like this, where I can see that ticket's got a 0 on the end. So
I did 3 last year, and I had 2 prizes.
Yeah, I won a PlayStation 2 game or something like this, and Lego T-shirts.
Yeah, no, we got a good haul of merch, so cannot complain there. He got me brownie points from my partner as well, so thank you very much.
Although I did feel bad after, so there was one stall that we went to where they had it's the one with the dominoes sets on the counter. I said, look, they've got domino games. Let's go and talk to this lady. So we talked to this lady for a while, and then the conversation's winding down. She says, "Oh, do you want hoodies?" And I was like, "Have you got hoodies?" She said, "Yeah, we've got them in a drawer." And I was like, "Go on then." And then so she pulled these hoodies out, and Craig's obviously like, "I'll have one." And then she's offering one to me, and I just at that time I was like, "Do you know what? I don't really fancy one." And then what I should have done, Craig, I'm so sorry, is just blagged one for your partner, and I didn't think about it until like a week later. Right. Oh no!
Never turned down free merch.
Exactly.
Idiot, absolute. Well, there's always next year, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully, none of them will listen to this, and but okay, those guys.
Craig will be blacklisted from merch.
Going like a disguise, like a fake mustache and a wig.
We'll go to the stall, and there'll be like a printout of like this YouTube video.
Yeah, just the
with like, our faces just
if
crossed
you see
out.
this man,
like if you see this man, do not.
They are banned.
Yeah.
I'm also kind of hoping my partner doesn't listen now, so she doesn't know she missed out on a free hoodie.
Yeah.
We can stab it every day.
I want to go and ask Craig. You did the A11Y gathering, didn't you?
Yes. The London. Was it London? Yeah, London-based one.
The Brighton one in.
Oh, sorry, I know what you mean now. The Unity one.
Yes,
the
Unity
offices.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, we were both there.
Yeah, so both of you did this.
Yeah.
Neat. Craig, you've been to GA-Conf, haven't you?
Yes.
Yeah, so
that was the one I was thinking.
Yeah, I'm going to point this question at Steve then, because like coming at it from an accessibility point of view in the video games, just because it's kind of like on topic of the podcast, we normally do discuss accessibility. What did you learn? Like, I'm intrigued because
Oh, and you put me on the spot, on you. I did enjoy it, and I have been to accessibility talks in the past.
Okay.
And I remember thinking, that's there's a lot of good things that were pointed out in this series of micro talks, weren't they?
Yeah.
Mini talks, micro talks. They weren't quite nano talks.
Yeah.
But now you're putting me on the spot. I'm like, no, it's in one ear out the other. But it kind of just makes it, as a games designer, it sort of circulates it up and puts it front and center in front of you. Oh, yeah, I need to think about this sort of stuff if content I'm doing. I did feel very seen once. They were talking about walls of text, and I was like, oh yeah, I've done that in the past. You never feel great when you're doing a game and you put like a big slab of text up on the screen. You're like, oh, that is not the prettiest thing in the world. But usually, if you've arrived at that solution, it's because you just don't have any more time to do anything sexy, or you don't have support to do formatting or URLs or all this kind of stuff. And it's no one's idea of like a sort of like a perfect world if you've just got this sort of page of unformatted text on the screen. It's quite unfortunate, but yes, when it's pulled up in front of you in an accessibility talk about how things are not supposed to be, it's like, okay, yeah, I understand.
Spending a week with Craig put like a face to the reason. I've had developers say this to me before that have met us at conferences and then gone, actually, do you know what, we kind of do these accessibility settings, and then you never actually see anyone or talk to anyone that needs them. You just kind of, it's normally a persona that you're given or something. And then they go, actually, do you know what? I've spent a few days with you guys and realised why we actually do it now. It's not just like a tick box exercise. It's kind of a, oh God, there is people out there that need this, and it's nice to put a face to the setting kind of thing.
I guess so, yeah. I mean, I didn't necessarily need like a face, but it's always good to have a reminder that people are playing games without that are visually impaired or are deaf, or who have other conditions that need to be taken care of. I remember in the past I've worked a bit with special effects and the charity work that they do. People who might be in hospital and can't use a game controller while they're recovering from an illness, and you're like, oh my God, yeah, we need to do whatever we can to make our games playable. Even if it's on some special mode, by people who, I don't know, they've had burnt hands or something, or they're recovering from operation. If the alternative is them staring at a hospital ceiling for 8 weeks, it's like, well, if you have to do, if there's something you can do in your game to make some kind of interactive experience for these people, then that's like game changing for them.
Yeah, no, very true.
Absolutely.
I am now going to... Don't worry, I'm going to turn the other hand and throw Craig under the bus a little bit. I remember distinctly walking past and hearing you and Stephen have discussions about music notes. I think it's C sharp, C++, and...
Yeah, that was music notes.
Yeah. So Craig kind of, if you say it like...
flat.
Stephen's almost doing like a bit of code, like coding and stuff that you do. And what did you learn from Stephen, and who did he introduce you that kind of made you go, because you kind of had been hanging one foot in the doorway of the games industry for a couple of years now. Do you kind of, after and like you've just said in the first time I've heard you say it actually, is I want to be in the games industry now, and is that after spending a week with someone like Stephen that's kind of made you feel like you can do it?
Yes, essentially. So one of the big things I've learned is that you don't actually have to be sort of dragging and dropping things around in a sort of a less accessible game engine editor. I'll try and not name drop, but the ones I've checked out, sort of the major players in the industry, let's go with that. Completely not accessible. I've got them all installed on my machine here. I've tried them all. None of them particularly work very well, if at all. But what Stephen's really sort of explained to me multiple times, probably to the point of where he's exhausted of saying it, is that most of the time that's not going to be your job. If you're working in games, there will be obviously people who that is mostly their job, but I probably wouldn't go for that. And one of the big sort of revelations I had from talking to people from Jagex and from Rockstar is that actually in those studios where they tend to have their own inbuilt engine, they're not using one of these sort of big multi-purpose engines that a lot of the industry is using. It's not a drag and drop sort of style of development. You are actually just coding, which unlocks a whole sort of accessibility potential for me. In theory, also unlocks the power of potentially being able to have sort of AI assistants sort of help you sort of smarten up your code a little bit. Also, there's a lot of benefits to it, but for me, just being able to work in text, where my screen reader could just read something out to me, I can figure out what's going on, presumably, and try and smarten up the code, try and actually get it to do whatever it's trying to do. It's sort of revealed to me that there actually are jobs in the gaming industry where being able to use these inaccessible tools are actually not going to make a difference. So I can use my sort of C# knowledge, for example, which is nothing to do with music, to actually sort of be able to sort of work on games and really get them sort of closer to completion. Which, to be able to get my name on a set of credits would be like amazing. I know. Am I allowed to say you've done it?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He says it himself. He doesn't need anyone to tell him.
All right.
Well, just trying to promote your brand. Yeah, so I can imagine that was a great feeling for you, and I'd love to be able to experience that one day. It's obviously the gaming industry at the minute going through a bit of a turbulent time. Perhaps I wouldn't want to work in the gaming industry perhaps right now, but I think ever since my sort of teenage years, I've always sort of thought that would be really cool to work in that industry. So maybe when it starts valuing people a bit, a bit better, it would be perhaps then the time to perhaps sort of cash in on this knowledge and sort of say, okay, there's these studios that work in proprietary engines that are aren't these inaccessible third-party engines. You're just looking for someone that can cut code. I've been doing it for 13 years at least now, in a paid capacity anyway. I've been doing it longer than that unpaid. So why not? I've already modded games. I've tried to sort of make them a bit more accessible using code. It's really hard from the outside, but doing it from the inside, piece of cake, I imagine.
When I was first put in touch with Craig, I got an email from Chris, who's the head of Blind Burners, and he explained at length, for quite a lot of length. It's like, I know Craig is we really love for him to have an opportunity to get into the industry, but we know, this is kind of the way he put it. He says, we know it's not going to happen. He will be the tip of the spear that will break against the walls of this. But by the little bit of damage that he might be able to do, the people that come after him, they may have a chance. I was like, oh, okay, well, that's a shame, but it's we'll see what we can do for him. And so I met Craig, and it's probably wasn't until about Tuesday or Wednesday at the develop conference where I was just turning this over in my head. I was like, wait, he can program. He has programmed for a dozen years or more. All the programmers that I know in the games industry, this is what they do. I mean, they actually use a different language, but it's not that different. And okay, so he can't use the proprietary editors where you've got this big, complicated interface, lots of buttons, lots of different ways of displaying information, lots of different types of panels. And those are not.
You are allowed to throw Unity and Unreal under the bus. We're not gonna.
It's not so much throwing them under the bus. It's like I'm fully aware that from having worked in proprietary engines in the past and used like their editor solutions for design information or text information are a long way behind Unity or Unreal's equivalent, and certainly would not be screen reader compatible. But as a general format programmer working in a your random engine that's not one of these sort of off the shelf jobbies, those programmers are going to spend 99.5 to 100% of their time staring at Visual Studio, and that's what Craig does. He's not going to be held back by the tools in those environments. And I was like, oh, no, there's nothing stopping you getting a job in the industry. Just literally, okay, maybe you need to learn C++ rather than C#, and also just swim against the tide at this current moment. Everyone's sort of trying their best not to flow the other way. But this, I don't think there's anything particularly stopping Craig from breaking in. And I was just sort of quite pleased to be able to tell him that. And also then like Craig says, we went to see some people at Jagex who had a stall there, and we talked to one of their lead programmers, and he was like, yeah, we just use Visual Studio. Then we met a woman from Rockstar on the last day, and she's like, yeah, I just use Visual Studio, which is kind of confirmed that, and yeah. It's but very pleased to bring hope to that situation.
It really has. And now, if only C++ wasn't so intimidating, give it a go.
I'm learning C# right now, and that is pretty gnarly. So.
No, okay, I'd happily swap knowledge on that one.
Okay, fine.
I can play
You should have any knowledge to trade.
I can play the triangle.
Oh, you get my
What was a highlight for you both? That's always a good one. When it's about an event. Any it can be a stupid moment, whatever. Craig drowning in the sea at Brighton, or
I'm thinking Craig doing a handstand, just literally looking out, because there was basically the scene, to paint a picture for your listeners. We had a bit of downtime on kind of the last day of the last festival. We weren't. It's not Glastonbury. Last day of the conference. And the Airbnb that they were staying in was very close to the sea. So I was like, let's just go down to the beach. And there was a few of us sat on the beach, and Craig and Georgia, one of the other partially sighted attendees, they just went into the water together, and we're like, okay, fine, off we go. Is this going to be fine? But the beach where we were, it just kind of, as you get into the water, particularly when it was low tide like this, it's just a sort of sandy plateau, so you can just wade in. I mean, literally. We're quite close to the pier, and far out to sea, like you're talking sort of 7 or 8 miles, there's these sort of offshore wind turbines. And I know the water there, you're talking many miles away, is only 20 meters deep. So it's just a flat plateau all the way out to there. So there's not going to be like a ridge that you're going to fall off. And so we sort of let them go, and then we're having a chat on the beach and looking out. Where are they? Okay, they're there. Yeah, and being very diligent, of course, about how we're looking after these people. And then we sort of turn around and so, right, there's Georgia. Where's Craig? Whose legs are those sticking out of the way? It's Craig doing a handstand. I was like, it's just quite adorable, and we sort of left you to it, and off you go.
I would apologise for scaring you, but it was actually quite fun. So sorry.
Yeah, no, you do you.
That was actually one of the nicer bits, really. I think the whole thing in general, sort of those little bits of downtime in amongst the sort of busyness, are some of the nicer bits where we get to have a proper non sort of developed chat with the guides and the other participants. Essentially, that is weirdly one of the highlights. But then also, I feel like some of the random talks around Develop, not necessarily the talks in Develop themselves, they are good, but sometimes just talking to people sort of around it. So I know at one point, Steve, me and you got talking to some people you knew, including one of the speakers after their talk.
Who I didn't actually know at all.
Oh, you didn't actually know them? You just randomly went...
The story with this is, so referring back to before when I sort of met one of the other guides and we realised we had a mutual contact and we sent a photo to her and she said, oh, you've got to get a selfie with this woman called Amy who's doing a talk. So like, okay, fine. And we looked and said, oh yeah, that was one of the talks that we were sort of going to go to anyway. So yeah, you and me, we piled in there and I went up the front and said, oh, can I just get a selfie with you? Because we have a mutual friend who said, oh yeah, she warned me that you'd be coming. I was like, okay, fine. And then so yeah, we watched her talk. That was great. And then we went, you and I went to the bar, and we're in this interminable queue for the bar. It just takes forever to get served at this hotel venue. Yes. And we're right near the front. And then the speaker that we just watched, she rolls into the bar. And so I'm bellowing, Amy, come over and get a drink with us. And so she came over, and of course she doesn't. Yeah, she barely knows us at all. And then another friend of mine, Emma, she comes in, Emma, come over, and then Amy and Emma turn around, look at each other. Oh, this is the person I'm here to see. So they're actually there to meet each other. And so we got drinks, and then Emma, I think, knew that because it's very busy and very sort of you could barely hear yourself down on the ground floor of the Hilton. But you can go upstairs, like you can just go up this enormous staircase, and there's these kind of like lobby areas on each floor, and there's like a few sofas out, and you can just it's absolutely lovely, quiet place where you can sort of actually hear yourself and just chill out for a little bit. And yeah, that was just really wonderful. Just a few of us just kind of like sat and had a drink, and that was really nice. Do you remember the time? Do you remember finding the phone?
Yes, I remember you found, like we were just essentially just pops of the gentleman and we're on our way out, I think,
Yeah.
and you found a phone just lying there.
Yeah, so
And
just next to where Craig was, I was like, "Oh, Craig, we're just going to the bathroom, and oh, there's a shelf here with the phone, and you pick it up, and it's like this beefy, great, folding Samsung phone. It's like this is worth a fortune." And I'm sort of, you're looking around, going, I don't see anyone like purposefully marching towards me because I picked up their, I don't know, like over £1,000 phone, and I'm like, well, someone just like lost it. This is kind of bonkers, and so. I looked on the phone. I can't unlock it. And there's a message from someone to the phone owner to say, "Oh, do you want to go for drinks?" And so then I found this person on LinkedIn, the person who had sent the message. So I messaged him and say, "You sent a message to a person asking them for drinks. That person has left their phone in the Hilton lobby. I've handed, and so we handed it in at the desk at the front." And then so we went to the gents, did a little orbit round, then came back through past the entrance hallway, and there was a friend of mine, a guy, it's like a absolute mainstay of the Brighton dev scene called Justin, and he's just there with this phone going, "Oh, thanks very much. I can't believe someone handed it in." It's just such a small world that things happen. It's always someone you just bumping in. It's like pinball, just bumping between people and crazy situations, and that was just the flavor of the week. Really, it was just really, really wonderful.
yeah, and it was just as fascinating as well just to talk to some of the people at the expo as well. Like I weirdly find that some of my best talks are actually what I hear at the expo, just from talking to people in person. Like I know you met a load of people that you knew sort of from the industry as we were just walking around the expo, not even necessarily at the stands, and just some of the random conversations you can have there.
Mhm.
Like I remember one that stands out was the gentleman that was pretty high up in the C++ world.
Oh,
Um,
guy, yeah,
Guy, that was it.
yeah.
You just randomly
Is this the bloke that you
knew him.
referred
Like,
to as
oh,
like the
okay, you're
Pope of
actually
C++?
really.
Is that the one?
I don't know. He's like there's all kind of committees that steer the language, and
Hmm.
he's on boards at a high level, and yeah, he's doing very well in that regard.
Yeah,
Which is
'cause-
kind of bonkers because he's just someone I knew from my previous work, and he's just a guy who just sit at a desk and write code, like
Coding
just like
genius.
Craig could if he was in the industry.
yeah.
And now he's off and he's spending more of his time at conferences and giving talks and lauding it over what the future of the language might be. And it's like, oh wow, you're doing really well. That sounds
Yeah,
amazing.
it all sounds like, as
Yeah.
a sort of bystander, as someone who's sort of barely touched C++, apart from some sort of Project Euler stuff. So like, it's it sounds mighty intimidating, but ultimately, from what you're saying, it sounds like he coded his way through the same as the rest of us, just got really good at it,
I think so.
and
Yeah.
made a name for himself,
Yeah.
which is really cool. But it's those random encounters. You're not gonna get those out in the street. You're probably not gonna get those at work unless you're a very lucky person. It's a coming together of all the sort of people from all over the country, and in many cases from other countries as well. You've got a lot of talent in that small. Well, I say small city. Brighton's fairly big, but even so, there's a lot of talent in that city at that time, and the people you can talk to, and the sort of stories you can hear, and it's it's something else. I would really recommend it to
So
anyone who's sort of wanting an overview,
we've got about
a sort of buffet of.
5-10 minutes left. I want to kind of finish
Sorry.
up talking about don't apologise, talking about blind burners specifically, and coming kind of from your voice, Craig, because I've spoke about them before on the
Yeah.
podcast and how good they are. Without Chris, like sending you to develop, or not sending you, but giving you the opportunity to get to develop and organising someone like Stephen this year. I can't remember who your guide was last year. Paul in the first year.
It was
It
last
was
year.
yeah, it was yeah. So without them people and Chris, what would you like? Just put into your words how big an opportunity it is for you, because I can't put it. Because for me, it's helped me get a job and things like that, and it's kind of looks like it's steamrolling that way to you. Because without that week with Stephen, you wouldn't have ever realised and kind of gone, oh shit, I can do a job in the industry without Stephen going, oh god, he just codes. At the end of the day, he's just coding, and yeah. So without that,
a genius for that realization.
Yeah,
So,
and like,
codes. Hang
And
on,
yes.
you need that.
yeah,
I'm sure I saw a job advert for that.
yeah. So just put into your words how much it like the difference has made to you, because like over the last 3 years, I've seen you go from I will never be able to work in the industry to Stephen said I could, so I can, and like
There's
Provided
there must
you
be.
have my permission.
yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I'm putting that as a promise there as well. So if I don't get in the industry, I know I'm coming to. No, it just having the opportunity to actually talk to people. So if I rewind the clock to say 3 years ago, I think I'd had some sort of very on the edge of sort of contact with some gaming studios, if that. I think at that time I'd only just written a mod. Sort of showing off some accessibility stuff for Civilization.
Yeah, that's when you showed it to me, yeah.
Yeah, that must have been about 3 years ago. Bloody hell. That's a long time ago. And I'd had sort of some trouble getting in touch with them, but I had some better luck getting in touch with the community. But unfortunately, that never really took off. But even so, the work is out there. But back then, the computer games industry just seemed impenetrable. So I didn't even think I'd be able to sort of influence it, let alone work within it. It seemed like a wall. And from going to things like Brighton Develop, I can't even remember the words that Chris used to convince me, but it sort of opened my eyes more than ever to the fact that these are just organizations, and organizations are made of people, and people can be spoken to. And it unlocks so many doors, being able to be in front of people, being able to just talk to them, just spend a bit of time with them, even if 5 minutes at like a festival of food or whatever we did in the first year. And I think that was my first realization of what a difference that could make. So the way Chris approached this with us all is we all wore t-shirts that said ask me how I play games. And when you've got a load of people who look visually impaired, because we probably did, wearing games up saying ask me how I play video games, people come up and talk to you, and questions get asked, and we get to answer them. We get to sort of break down that barrier and just have a good conversation with people. And it really it breaks down the sort of barrier and perhaps the intimidation factor, probably for the developers, I imagine, but for us too, because coming as an outsider to the games industry, it looks intimidating, and looks, as I said, it looks sort of quite daunting to sort of even be able to talk to people from within the industry. I know there's people on X who do that all the time and just shout abuse at them, but that's different.
I've
Actually being
changed
able to
my
have
ways, okay? I don't do it anymore.
You gotta stop. You gotta stop.
Hey, I mean, maybe not abuse, but that's how you started.
Yeah. Sorry.
And you had more success than me. Like whenever I've tried it pre getting into development stuff, it just didn't work. I was shouting into a void, and it's disheartening. But actually being able to talk to developers on the ground and understand that actually the stuff they're doing, it's just software engineering projects. It's the same as what I'm doing in my job. You know, you'd love to do everything, and you'd love to do it perfectly, but you know, it's not going to fit on the project roadmap, or Jira says no. Essentially, it's it's the same as my job almost. It's just that these guys get to do it in a really cool application, and I mean, some of the fintech stuff is kind of cool, but it's not the same kind of cool as a video game, is it? Let's face it. What Chris has done is he's built almost a community together out of this. Like, I know me and you, Wobbles, we knew each other from before, but there are some people that we didn't know who've sort of come into this community, who are other visually impaired gamers, who have a passion for hopefully getting into the industry, because there's people from all disciplines that want to get in the industry. And what Chris has done is sort of built up this little community and sends us out and gives us the tools we need to hopefully be able to sort of make those connections and actually break down those barriers and hopefully get more visually impaired people into the industry, and hopefully as well more games playable by visually impaired and other disabled gamers. That's the hope. That's the dream. And he's done a really good job of sort of starting a snowball. That's what I'm hoping.
Right, he's just on our job, Cameron. Should we? Yeah.
Sorry.
There's nothing else to say, or
I'll get off my soapbox.
no. That was. I don't think there's anything else we can say to end this episode than what you've actually just said. In all honesty, you've nailed it, and you've nailed the whole principle of blind burners and how all of us feel. Like you've said, relationships have blossomed almost. It sounds really romantic, doesn't it? But
It's romantic.
I've messaged Stephen on the train home, and just said you and Craig connected so quickly in the week, and it was just incredible. But there's stories like that from Mikey and Paul when Paul last year was Mikey's guide, and there is countless stories like that coming out of blind burners. Like Paul and Mikey have become really good friends. Paul and Mikey just announced the fact that they're making a game together.
Yeah, they've gone abroad together as well.
They've gone abroad, and it stems from Chris and blind burners going, we're going to get people to go to develop, and we're going to partner up Craig and Stephen and Paul and Mikey and Matt and Cameron. And
I can add another one. We've actually had Lena, one of our guides, come over to my house to do game testing with my partner Abby. So because they were partnered last year as well. So it just happens a lot.
And and it's it's incredible, the philosophy and the behind blind burners, but it's actually working as well, which is great to see. And I don't know how to kind of end this episode because Craig, what you said nailed it then. So I just want to. Is there anything else you'd like to add to it, Stephen? Because I know I'd say Craig's nailed it, and it's a tough one to follow.
I've done a lot of talking, so it'd be great to hear from you here.
I don't know if I have anything to add. I did want to say that you're talking about what is the chance of you getting into the games industry? You've done modding. That's like the hardest of the hard modes, because it's like, right, I exist outside the company, and I'm trying to do stuff with their the horrible processes and trying to deconstruct things, and I've got no documentation and all this kind of stuff. It's like, wow, that's being inside a games company, and then looking at what modders would produce, talking to modders, and they're just like, "Can we just have this?" I was like, "Oh yeah, that would be a really good idea." And do you need this as well? And they're like, "Oh, it would be so amazing." Modders just do everything with nothing, and I can't think of anything. Being in a game studio, looking for people to come and help out. Be like, "Oh, this guy's modded, so get him." Jesus Christ. So yeah, don't do yourself down. I think you have a lot to give, and I'm just really grateful to circle back to Blind Burners for them to put this opportunity together to make this connection.
100%. And you've in a similar vein, you've helped give me that sort of hope in that sense. Like it is these insights, like what you have as someone in industry. I can't get that elsewhere. It's I need to talk to you and people like you to get that info. So Blind Burners has given us that, really.
Yeah, and also I remember just like listen to this, you think it's all one-way traffic. I spent the whole week crying on your shoulder about I don't know what to do for my job, and you're just like, I've got loads of advice. I was like, oh, thanks, Craig. He's really good. So thank you to you as well.
Always happy to help.
Yeah. I think that's a very pleasant way to end the episode. Yeah. First of all, we'd like to say thank you for your both your time and coming on. It was like I said straight away when Cameron said, should we do a develop special? I think I messaged him and went, I'll ask Craig and Stephen, just because you both of you have got great personalities and you're just brilliant, and you every time I bumped into you in any capacity across the week, it was, hey, we're going here, sorry can't chat, we're flying round, and it's really nice to see, and that's kind of the whole point, is to make the most of it, and it's safe to say you did that, so I can't really that's, I was going to say, thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
You will find Craig and Stephen's details in the dump below. My host with the most we'll make sure that's always in there. Cameron
Yep.
does all the hard work on the podcast. I just come and chat shit. So yeah,
Yep.
Cameron will do all of
Cheers,
that.
Cam.
But yeah, so I think that's a great way to end this Brighton 2025 Develop special. So thank you very much for coming on. And I've been the Wobbly Gamer.
And I've been Cameron.
And that's been Craig and Stephen. So we'll catch you next time.
Done.
You guys.
Done.